Being poked in the eye is illegal, Brendan, but to fight with one eye is very common. The opponent's trying to hit your eye, he's trying to bust up and make your nose bleed. So that part of it does have question for guys like Anthony and I. We're trying to be polite, we're trying to show grace, but in all fairness, if you're the heavyweight champion of the world, you got to fight with one eye at times.
The eye poke, it was a bad eye poke. It really was. It was a double eye poke, and they went really, really deep into his eyes. And Tom was clearly emotional, pissed off, upset.
People don't understand. They always talk about, when are we going to fix eye pokes in mixed martial arts? Newsflash, you're never going to do it. The reason why is because as human beings, our natural reaction when somebody comes towards us is to open my hands and stick my hands out. When I throw a body kick, when you learn Muay Thai and you throw kicks, they don't teach you to throw them like this. They teach you to open your hands, you throw your hand, you put your hands in front of your opponent's face to block them, and then you throw like this, boom.
UFC 321 concluded on Saturday, and the main event didn't end the way everyone thought it would. Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane could not make it through the opening round of their heavyweight clash at UFC 321, as the match was ruled a no contest. Both fighters came out with a lot of energy until an accidental double eye poke caused the fight to end early. The champ Tom Aspinall looked frustrated and angry as the crowd boos following the sudden end to his fight at UFC 321. He explains that the eye poke was severe, leaving him unable to see or continue. Frustrated by the reaction, he vents that the fight was only starting to pick up before being ruined by the foul, calling the situation unfair and disappointing. Tom Aspinall said, "Guys, I got poked knuckle deep in the eyeball. Why are you booing? What am I supposed to do about it? I didn't do the poke. I can't see. This is bullshit." The fight was just getting going. Complete bullshit. I'm pissed off. Ciryl Gane also expresses regret over the way the fight ended, apologizing to the fans, the audience, and Tom Aspinall. He also feels disappointed for himself, wishing the matchup had played out properly instead of ending through an unfortunate eye poke. Ciryl Gane via post-fight interview, "I'm very sorry about that, for the crowd, for the fans, for everybody. I'm sorry for Tom Aspinall. I'm sorry for myself." Ciryl Gane further expresses frustration with how the fight with Tom Aspinall ended, feeling unsatisfied by the result and how things unfolded. He reflects on the effort and preparation his team put in and admits the outcome didn't reflect their work or the direction he hoped this career would take. For now, he leaves future decisions to his manager, his team, and the UFC, saying he'll focus on being ready for whatever comes next.
Je suis un peu déçu de l'issue du combat, forcément, pour plusieurs choses, par rapport à tout ce qu'on a pu mettre en œuvre, par rapport à tous les engagements, par rapport aussi à la physionomie du combat, par rapport au futur. C'est vraiment pas très satisfaisant comme issue. Donc non, maintenant, le futur, moi je le connais pas encore, c'est mon manager. Je fais confiance à mon manager, à ma team et à l'UFC. C'est eux qui discutent entre eux, moi je suis juste un combattant.
Dana White also reacts to the Tom Aspinall vs. Ciryl Gane eye poke incident by calling it an unfortunate way for the fight to end. He admits the matchup was shaping up to be exciting, with both fighters looking sharp in the opening minutes. White praises Gane for performing well after being written off following his loss to John Jones. He agrees that a rematch makes sense once Aspinall recovers, even though he admits it's a frustrating situation for everyone involved.
Give us your reaction to the eye poke and how it went out.
I mean, I feel the way everybody feels. Great showing, shitty ending, you know? I think that after the Jones fight, a lot of people wrote Ciryl Gane off. He looked damn good tonight.
Yeah, what did you think about the fight on its way to the eye poke? What did you take from those 4 minutes?
Good. Looked like we were in for a few rounds and it was going to be a good fight.
It would seem obvious that a rematch is right on the cards. Would you like to just rebook these guys as soon as Tom is able to get back in there?
Yeah, total pain in the ass, but yes.
Daniel Cormier recalled seeing Tom Aspinall backstage after the fight, still wearing bandages over his left eye. He explains that the left eye suffered the deeper poke while the right side had more surface damage. Cormier adds that the injury looked painful and would have been even harder to manage if not for the discomfort on the other side distracting him. Daniel Cormier said, "I saw Tom Aspinall, his right eye is covered in a bandage because he cannot open it. Still, we're 20 minutes past the fight ending, and what's crazy about that is his other eye was the one where the hand hand went knuckle deep. The right side was crabbed down more. The left side was the one that went knuckle deep and really would have been hard to deal with if not for the swelling scene on the other side. Tom was very upset that people were booing, but then people saw the replay and were like, wait a minute, maybe we should be booing the other guy. Then they booed Cyril. On the other hand, Anthony Smith expresses frustration over how the fight ended, saying he wanted to see Tom Aspinall face real challenges and adapt under pressure. He hoped to learn how Tom Aspinall would respond if his initial strategy failed, whether he'd rely on wrestling or stand with Cyril Gane for the full fight. Instead, Smith feels left without answers, sharing the same disappointment as the fans watching.
Anthony?
No, I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed. I talked all day yesterday. Like, I just want to see Tom have to overcome some adversity. I want to see what he does when when his first plan of action doesn't work. What's he checked down to? Is he gonna wrestle? Can he compete with Cyril Gane on his feet for 25 minutes? And I don't get any of those answers, and just like everybody at home, I'm disappointed.
Chael Sonnen believes Tom Aspinall should have pushed through the eye poke from Cyril Gane instead of stopping. He feels competing with limited vision is part of the game, especially for a heavyweight champion who's expected to handle tough situations like that.
Being poked in the eye is illegal, Brendan, but to fight with one eye is very common. The opponent's trying to hit your eye, he's trying to bust up and make your nose bleed. So that part of it does have question for guys like Anthony and I. We're trying to be polite, we're trying to show grace, but in all fairness, if you're the heavyweight champion of the world, you got to fight with one eye at times.
Michael Bisping reflects on the disappointing finish to the main event, saying it was turning into a great fight before it ended unexpectedly. He notes that both Cyril Gane and Tom Aspinall were performing well, trading strong shots early on. Gane appeared sharp, even busting Aspinall's nose, while Tom answered with solid leg kicks. Bisping adds that Gane's movement and takedown defense were on point, making the matchup look like it was heading toward an exciting title battle before the stoppage.
Right, so obviously the main event ended in a fashion that nobody wants to see. It was a tremendous fight. Cyril Gane and Tom Aspinall were going toe-to-toe, and it was shaping up to be a tremendous title fight. It really was. And we were going to see Tom Aspinall taken out of the first round. You know, a lot of people online are talking a lot of saying that he quit. The reality is, Cyril was looking good. He damaged Tom, he busted the nose up early. They both landed some shots. Tom landed a really good low kick. Cyril was looking smooth. Cyril defended the takedowns. Talking of takedowns, they're taking down the octagon right here.
Michael Bisping further reacts to the incident by calling the eye poke severe, noting that both of Tom Aspinall's eyes were affected. He describes Tom as visibly emotional and frustrated after waiting so long for this moment, especially following the delays with Jon Jones and his interim title defense. Bisping says the most important thing is that Tom recovers fully, and if the injury isn't serious, he hopes the UFC rebooks the fight as soon as possible.
The eye poke, it was a bad eye poke. It really was. It was a double eye poke, and it went really, really deep into his eyes. And Tom was clearly emotional, pissed off, upset. And I get it, you know, there's been a lot of time waiting for this moment. You know, he had the whole fiasco with Jon Jones, he defended the interim belt and all that stuff, and then he gets back in the octagon eventually, and then that happens. First and foremost, I just hope he's okay. That's the main thing. And if he is okay, which I think he will be, maybe he's got a scratched cornea, maybe he'll be fine in a few days. But they got to run it back. They got to run it back ASAP. Right, hold on.
Furthermore, Sean O'Malley feels genuinely sorry for Tom Aspinall after the eye poke ended the fight, believing the moment robbed him of a huge opportunity. He imagines how different things could have been if Tom had won, possibly setting up a massive fight with Jon Jones and bringing new energy to the heavyweight division. O'Malley reflects on how unpredictable the division has become, wondering what direction it takes now since Jones and Alex Pereira don't seem interested in facing Aspinall. He admits the situation leaves more questions than answers about what comes next.
What could have been if Tom Aspinall goes out there and wins? What happens to his career after that? That's the Jon Jones potential fight at the White House. Like, there's so much that Tom missed out on because of that. It's super unfortunate, sad, and it would have made the heavyweight division it would have made it a lot more fun. I mean, the whole division's been so crazy with Jon Jones. You know, he defended an interim belt, Tom Aspinall. It's like, what do you? I mean, Jon Jones is done. Alex Pereira, he's probably not moving up to heavyweight. Like, you just rematch that fight. You know, the crowd was insanely loud, so it was like, I guess it was a big fight, but do you watch it again? Do you make that fight again? Jon doesn't want to fight Tom. Alex doesn't want to fight Tom. Ah, man, yeah, I don't even know what you do with with that fight. I think Dana said he's going to make a rematch.
Bilal Muhammad calls out Cyril Gane for the foul, saying he has no reason to be upset after clearly poking Tom Aspinall in the eye. He advises Gane to control his hand placement and keeps his fingers closed to prevent such incidents from happening again. Bilal Muhammad said, "Gane can't be mad. You clearly poked him. Learn to keep your hands closed." Bilal Muhammad further reacts to the UFC 321 controversy by saying the only way to stop eye pokes is to enforce immediate penalties. He believes referees should deduct a point right away to make fighters more cautious and prevent the problem from continuing. If they want to get rid of eye pokes, they need to take a point away instantly. Bilal Muhammad argues that the issue isn't with the gloves but with weak officiating. He thinks referees should warn fighters before the fight that any eye poke will cost them a point. He points out how Derek Lewis once admitted to doing it just to catch his breath, saying automatic deductions would stop that behavior fast. Bilal Muhammad said, "It has nothing to do with gloves, warned them both right when they entered the cage. If there is an eye poke you lose a point, then guys will train for it." Black Best said he does it to catch his breath because there is no consequences. Taking points right away will stop them or slow them down. MMA Guru criticizes Cyril Gane for the eye poke in Tom Aspinall, calling it one of the worst in recent memory. He blasts Gane for extending both hands towards Aspinall's face and causing serious damage early in the first round, saying fighters need to keep their fingers under control. MMA Guru said, "People are going to talk shit about that, but keep your fingers to yourself." Cyril Gane, "WTF are you doing?" Raking both fighters in both eyes at once in round 1 and pushing them both further into the eyes of Tom Aspinall. Nastiest eye pokes in a while. On the other hand, Demetrius Johnson defends Cyril Gane after the eye poke incident with Tom Aspinall, explaining that open hands are a natural reaction in MMA. He says when someone moves forward, fighters instinctively extend their hands for distance or defense. Drawing from Muay Thai, he mentions that even while wearing gloves, keeping hands open during kicks is part of proper technique. Johnson believes the foul was accidental and that Gane's positioning was technically correct, even though the outcome was unfortunate.
Once again, it's MMA. If somebody's coming at me and I go like this, it's my hands coming out. It's a natural reaction. It's a natural reaction. That's one thing people don't understand. Like when you do Muay Thai, when you kick, you need your hands out. Even in the gloves, when I throw a kick, my hands are open inside the gloves. You know, I love how people are like, "Oh, there's so many eye pokes in MMA." Guys, my fucking hands are open. And people don't understand. They always talk about, when are we gonna fix eye pokes in mixed martial arts? Newsflash, you're never fucking gonna do it. The reason why is because as human beings, our natural reaction when somebody comes towards us is to open my hands and stick my hands out. When I throw a body kick, when you learn Muay Thai and you throw kicks, and obviously the accident foul was an accident, right? But the way he had his hands on Tom Aspinall's face is the correct technique to do. It just wasn't his hands.
Demetrius Johnson points out that eye pokes have always been part of MMA, noting that even fighters like John Jones often extend their hands while striking. He explains that when throwing body or leg kicks, fighters naturally keep their hands open, which makes eye pokes unavoidable. Johnson believes the issue can't truly be fixed unless MMA gloves are completely redesigned to be more like boxing gloves.
If you go back and watch John Jones, he's a great eye poker, but if you go back and watch the greats who do body kick, if you go back and watch my fights, when I throw body kicks or I throw leg kicks, my hands are here, they're open. So once again, you're never going to fix eye pokes in mixed martial arts unless you put us in gloves that are like in actual like boxing gloves.
However, Dylan Dennis mocks Tom Aspinall after the UFC 321 incident, joking that the eye poke showed how a fight with John Jones might have gone. He takes a playful shot by suggesting the outcome would have been the same, using humor to stir reactions online. Dylan Dennis said, "Well, at least we know how John Jones versus Tom Aspinall would have ended." Meanwhile, back in February, Jim Miller argues eye pokes are intentional and not caused by the gloves. He explains from long experience inside the cage that the gear does not force fingers open, so the problem is a fighter pulling away or avoiding contact. Miller wants immediate penalties, quick point deductions, and fines taken from the purse to stop the behavior fast. He thinks punishing those who poke will make it disappear.
You want to know a secret? I've got hours inside the octagon wearing these gloves. It's not the gloves. Look, I can close my fist. I can bend the ends of my fingers without the glove even moving. So if it was the glove that held my hand open, I could still go like that. But like most of these eye pokes, it's like that. My hand's not getting held open like that. Are you f***ing kidding me? What causes the eye pokes is that little coaching side that's like being passive and avoiding the fight and not being aggressive. And that little voice needs to get punished by an immediate point being taken away, and in my opinion, a portion of the purse. And then I think you would see him stop real quick, because it's not the gloves.
That's it for today's video, so what are your thoughts about the eye poke? Share your reactions in the comments section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video.